In the past 2 weeks, a lid has been lifted on the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority (KEMSA) after a scandal worth 3.7 billion shillings on procurement of mosquito nets was unraveled. My name is Beldin Waliula and we'll be revisiting the KEMSA story today. Time under her docket following investigations into the 3.7 billion mosquito net procurements. She lashed out that there are state officials who are hell-bent on interfering with KEMSA core functions.
People in this country who are hell-bent to enrich themselves on the backs of patient money. Very shameful, on donor money, that you cannot assist yourself, you are assisted, but there are people who have grouped themselves to benefit from these monies. I am not going to allow it to happen.
The authority that is mandated to supply drugs in most of the public hospitals and even private has been muddled with corruption, where COVID-19 billions vanished in thin air. The health CS says her efforts to clean up the authority were not received with open arms.
My few days in office, I told the CEO KEMSA, my friend, from today, I want to see pre-qualification through an information management system. And she told me, Madam CEO, the PPOA Act does not allow us to do it, and it is too costly to do it. I told her, I know somebody who will do it for free. And when the person went to visit, the CEO was not present. And therefore, we did not do any pre-qualification. But I'm glad that now we are going to do it.
After that tender was advertised, just before it closed, there was also another newspaper advert saying that it has been extended. And I think a few days later, there was also another advert saying that it had been terminated and the process was going to start all afresh. And it's at that point that I noticed that there was a problem. I asked the CEO to let me know why we are behaving in the papers as though we don't know what we are doing.
According to the CS, the whole mishap was brought up by not following the stipulated rules of procurement.
However, I need to clarify that as part of this procurement process, after the evaluations are done, the report is given to the Director of Procurement within KEMSA for him to give his opinion. Then after that, it goes to Global Fund. But there was a misstep that this report was first submitted to Global Fund. And submitting to Global Fund is part of the process for them to give concurrence if procurement should proceed. And when you are seeking concurrence, it can come in a yes or a no. And in this case, Global Fund said no. And they gave their reasons as to why it is a no, pointing to how the evaluation was done. So for me, I consider it as a part of the process. And now we have been able to nip it before it happened. Suppose what Global Fund has said is true, because we are also doing investigations in terms of how that evaluation happened and going into the nitty-gritty of the details. Then it has assisted us to ensuring that then public funds are not misappropriated.
Nahumicha accused the suspended CEO and board members of the authority they were directly linked to the irregularities in the tendering process.
Yes, the buck stops with me. And those who were suspended is because we had an internal investigation and we had names behind what we found out. So internally, we have made the suspension based on their involvement at that level. However, I personally wrote to EACC and they have come to do a thorough investigation.
An internal audit report saw PS for Public Health Dr. Josephine Mburu's term terminated with various new appointments made. Dr. Andrew Mulwa was appointed acting CEO at KEMSA and Irungi Nyakera the chair of the KEMSA board. The audit also saw Permanent Secretary Peter Tum reassigned from the Ministry of Health to the Ministry of Sports. The procurement of the 10 million mosquito nets will now be done by Global Fund itself through its procurement organ, wambo.org. While commissioning the new KEMSA board, the CS called on the new team to put their best foot forward and also recalled the KEMSA employees who are working from home after the COVID-19 scandal emerged in order to give room for investigations.
That there are people who are interested in enriching themselves on the backs of patients. Those are the people that I want to deal with them. We are going to uproot all the roots, all the evil spirits that have been planted in this institution. Nitazingoa. And members of the staff of KEMSA, please know I am your ally. Should you smell something that looks like corruption, please come and let me know. Whoever it is. And I said I might not have any other muscle, but I will name and shame anyone who is brought to my attention. Investigation is done, and they are known to have caused problems in this institution. We must move forward as a clean institution.
KEMSA has been notorious when it comes to corruption and mismanagement of resources. What Kenyans will be waiting for is if the recent cleanup will do any good to the authority. World Health Organization, in a recent report, Born Too Soon, states that Sub-Saharan Africa and Asia is experiencing a rise in the number of babies born preterm. Babies born before the gestation period is completed has also been on the rise in the country. And to that fact, we engage an obstetrician gynecologist to explain why we are having babies born too soon in the country.
I'm Dr. Dennis Miskela, an obstetrician gynecologist at Kenyatta Hospital. And today we're going to discuss about prematurity and preterm birth. First of all, it's important to know what it means. Yeah? So basically, a preterm birth is a birth that occurs before a baby the pregnancy completes the 37 weeks of pregnancy. And you can have either extremely preterm, that's below 28 weeks. You can have moderate preterm, that is between 28 to 32. And late preterm, 32 to 37 weeks. Yeah. And prematurity or preterm, is the same thing, yeah? Contributes to almost 40 to 50% of the under 5 mortality deaths. So when you hear these really poor health indicators around under 5 mortalities, know that a large percentage is being contributed to by this prematurity. That's why it's important for us to talk about it. Yeah, and so the WHO talks about that Sub-Saharan Africa and Asia, Latin America is contributing significantly to a large portion of this. And the question is why? What is the West doing that ensures that the pregnancies are able to reach term? Or in another word, that what causes prematurity? Yes. The most common cause of prematurity is infection. Yeah, the pregnancy, the growing fetus is engulfed by a membrane, amniotic membrane, yeah, which sometimes, if there's infection, can begin as an infection in the tract of the birth canal, then inflames the membrane, and then it just weakens and ruptures. Yeah? When that happens, then you go to preterm labor and give birth in prematurity. That's the leading cause of prematurity. The other issue that normally can bring about the issue of prematurity is complications around, or hypertensive complications of pregnancy, where a mother gets preeclampsia or eclampsia, and then you end up with having to deliver her prematurely to protect her life. Yeah. Other instances where a mother might end up with prematurity, cases of trauma, a mother falls down, starts bleeding, and goes into labor. Yeah. Occasionally, when you also have other co-infections like diabetes, has been shown to lead into prematurity. It brings us issue like around a lot of amniotic fluid called polyhydramnios, which then pushes the cervix to extend and you deliver prematurely. Yeah. The other instances that you can also have premature birth is when the mother takes a medication, which I don't know that can trigger labor. So you go to hospital, you get medicines, and you take it, and then it pushes into labor. Yeah. Also, when a baby dies intrautero, sometimes when you have what's called intrauterine fetal demise, where out of maybe an underlying condition or certain drugs that you took, the baby dies, then you finally have to go to that preterm labor. Yeah? And just misdates. There are instances where a woman comes to you and she tells you certain dates that, hey, doctor, I've reached, I have a scar, and I was told I should not go into labor, I should come at 39 weeks, I'm here, these are my dates. And you sure go open up and you find that she got her dates all wrong. And the worst thing is that in the last trimester, the dating by ultrasound can be as off as by plus or minus 3 weeks. Yeah? So you're not able to get proper dating from the word go. Then you end up delivering a baby who has not reached term. So those are some of the instances where you can end up with premature birth. Yeah, in fact, there's a document by the WHO, it's called Born Too Soon. Basically, it shows that those who live on the fringes of society, the poor, the marginalized, tend to suffer this more. And this is because, first of all, these are the people who are likely to miss the antenatal clinics. So they can't pick up the diabetes in time, they can't pick up the hypertensive disorders on time and put precautionary measures. They cannot get the supplements, the IFAS and all that in time. They end up with anemia that can trigger that. These are the people who have poor nutrition, which plays a very huge role in affecting prematurity, that poor nutrition. People will fall sick, get infections. The mother is having a discharge vaginally and they're not able to get treatment and it then triggers labor. So it's true that those who come from lower socioeconomic setups will always suffer this more. Yeah.
And as a doctor, how can one pick up this? Can we prevent, or how can one pick up such issues?
Yeah, so it's, when a woman has had premature birth before, she's more likely to get it. So it's important for that, for a woman with a history of having the preterm labor and preterm, or even having diabetes, or having hypertensive disorders, or those trigger factors, they must come for preconception counseling. Right now, WHO says that for a woman, for you to give a complete package to a woman, you should meet her up front before she gets pregnant. So that if she has, like if she's hypertensive and she's on medication, do you want to switch to safer drugs? Or if she's diabetic, do you want to switch to something that can control the sugars better? Yeah. Then tell her what she needs to expect. If she's had preeclampsia, do you want to put her on some drugs to prevent it? To that point. So the preconception counseling plays a big role. Then finally, when you get yourself pregnant, you come again and we put for you the right medications and advise you appropriately. Then you have to visit the antenatal care. Right now we are doing visits around 8 visits in a pregnancy. Before that, we were about 4 visits.
Yes.
Now we are pushing for 8 visits per pregnancy. Yeah. So that you're able to pick up early enough. And when as a woman you see that probably all of a sudden you are gushing water. And you know you are remote from term, you're not near a term giving birth. Or you see blood, or you're having this pain that you can't explain. You have to go to the hospital. Is there a big disparity between the West and what's happening here in sub-Saharan Africa? Because in America, a 22-week-old premature survived. In Kenya, in Kenyatta, our Center of Excellence, is that I think the best we have had was 28 weeks. And they still struggle. Almost 60% of prematures that are born below 30 weeks die. And the number one causes of death is infections. They share the resuscitators, the beds, the cots. They share them. And the mothers have to come and breastfeed them as they cause infection. Yeah? That's number one. Number two is they have breathing difficulties. Yeah? Most of them cannot afford. There's a drug called surfactant. Basically, it's like a soap that is put through to the lungs, so that when they breathe in, the lungs don't collapse. So it makes them to be able to breathe in and out. Most of these facilities don't have it. Public hospitals lack it. Insurance don't cover for it sometimes. And it's a very expensive drug. So if the child, the newborn, does not get it, they won't make it through.
I'm sure everyone wants to get their child to term, but it happens that we have preterm babies. What can be done better?
Yeah, I think the first thing that with the Linda Mama and the fact that people can now give birth at hospitals, we must ensure that every woman who is pregnant must be seen at least 8 times by a skilled birth attendant. They should attend clinics, they should get their supplements, they should get nutritional counsel, they should get baseline laboratory checks done on them. So every woman should attend clinics. 1. 2, any complication that is picked up during those clinics must be attended by a medical doctor or a medical specialist. It's very, very important. Yeah, that the dispensaries, health centers refer appropriately any difficult case that is picked up in the clinics. Because many times we blame patients for not coming to the hospital on time, but they tell you that, oh no, I was there on time. This is my booklet. And look at the booklet. Somebody flagged an high blood pressure very early on, and they don't see the need to refer. Somebody flagged an infection very early on, they see the need to refer. So we have to refer on time so that they get the care that they need. Yeah? And even for women who have lost pregnancies, let them not lose hope. These conditions, when picked up early enough, can be prevented. We can push. We might not even be able to take you to 40 weeks, but we can take you to that point that the baby can survive outside the uterus. So every case is unique, but the key thing is getting a skilled medical practitioners who handle your case as it comes. Don't suffer at home, don't give birth at home, don't hang out, lower your head in shame, think that maybe you're less of a woman or maybe you're a caste or anything. No. These are medical conditions that can be sorted out.